Brothers and sisters in the Force, happy Mandalorian Day. It's the beginning of Season 3, and I'm very excited for it. And also, this week, I had 1,500 subscribers, so very excited for this very special Doomcast, which I put off quite a while recording because I had a pretty terrible migraine. But that migraine subsided, and it subsided with the help of what I'm reviewing this week, which is the gosh dang Boba Fett Starship, formerly known as Slave 1. I know, I don't want to call it that anymore, but dang it, it's what I grew up with. But you know what? Things change. And this thing's changed too. It's a re-released version of a previously released toy, which I don't have the original of, but dang it, I'm glad I have this one. So let's open her up and celebrate the return of the Mandalorian and maybe Boba Fett. I'm Dan Umpton, and this is the Doomcast. So yeah, this thing is, in a word, sick. I had wanted one of these when they originally came out with this. I want to say a few years ago. I'm not precisely sure when. At that time, it was just the Slave 1, and it came with Han Solo and Carbonite. It didn't come with an actual Boba Fett figure. This is the Book of Boba Fett version, so it's a little bit more roughed up, of course, as you can see from the front. And if you're comparing the two in just pictures, you can see that it comes with a few basics, of course. So you have the craft itself, which, of course, you have the landed mode. Then you have the straight upright display mode. It comes with this stand that has the Mandalorian Mythosaur crest on the inside of it, and you can stand this bad boy up, and it is pretty tall and pretty sweet. If you are a fan at all, this is probably a grail piece. Definitely was for me. The coolest part of this is the cockpit, which you've got this piece that opens here, and the cockpit, of course, has your crew, maximum of 3 folks. But with these wings pieces down, flip that, and the cockpit switches up. Now, it's not perfect. It takes a little negotiating, but once it's up, kind of snaps into place a little bit, and it's up. And you can see the crew that I got in there. I was not going to open up the recent Return of the Jedi Boba Fett and put him in there, but you've got the Tython Boba Fett that it comes with, who is in there. Then you've got Din Djarin. I've got the Mandalorian in there, and then a 1997 Power of the Force Boba Fett, because where else am I going to put that dude? But yeah, sealed right in there, and it's pretty sweet, the capacity that it's got, but it's got a couple of other sweet features too, which if you remember from the Mandalorian Season 2, it comes with the concussion bombs from Season 2, which are pretty sweet. The level of detail on the back of the Starship, again, which, well, I don't mind the name change. Things change, and honestly, if it was ruining somebody's experience to call this Slave 1, then I'm fine calling it Boba Fett Starship, because that's really what it is. So I don't necessarily care. But there's some other cool hidden stuff as well. So when you open this cockpit compartment here, you've got a little sneaky smuggling compartment in which you could hide a figure and or figures, if you wanted to, accessories, what have you. You've also got this walkway piece here, which folds down, is notionally the entrance to the craft if you actually had one, but there is no entrance in the bottom. There is a compartment here that has a stasis pod, which currently I've just filled with accessories, but it fits perfectly up here in this compartment. You could probably fit a couple of figures up there if you wanted to. And this gangway, you could fit darn near anything you wanted to. Probably about big enough for Han Solo and Carbonite up there, which is probably what the original figure was. Well, it's also got the original blasters have missiles that fire, although they're not particularly great at firing, although that worked the first time I pressed it. So I'm clearly not getting that one back. Does have a sick little side panel here. So you've got a view of that storage compartment in part, which is sweet. But then you've also got kind of a playset area. So I had to break out some of my older Star Wars figures that I've just got, you know, lying around. Whatever. We've got classic Bespin Han Solo from the mid-90s Power of the Force figures. They used to, like, it's amazing how rigid these were, and at the time when these SOBs came out, they were just like the idea of having a Star Wars figure that was this molded and that looked this much like drunk transmogrified Han Solo, but still more of a likeness than like the 80 or 82 figures. Still, it was great for, you know, 1997. And if they're coming out with these in 2057, I will probably be buying them. Sorry, honey. But yeah, I mean, the thing that does look awfully sweet is the foot pegs. Hold up. You can use them for pretty much any era of figures, because that is one part of these things that has not changed in nearly 40 years. That's one of the fun parts, is Hasbro pioneered the 3.75 inch figure with Star Wars because they couldn't afford to do the G.I. Joe figures that had been made Hasbro so popular. So they went with a 3.75 inch to save on plastic and cost. People ate it up. But yeah, the foot peg size, which is 1/8 inch, I believe. So roughly the size of a headphone jack. It might be even slightly smaller than that. I think the hole is 1/8 inch. Anyway, that hasn't changed either. So that's a standard foot peg for that size of figure, regardless of who's making it anymore. Usually the 6-inch figures are now like 1/4. Anyway, who cares? But yeah, you got Darth Maul, which makes absolutely no sense, because at this point in the story, if he's still somewhere around and head of that crime syndicate, which we never saw anything from Solo, but I'm intrigued, at least. Dave Filoni, please do something with it, and good God, if he shows up in this season, I'm gonna need a back-to-tank for how badly I am going to shit myself. But yeah, pretty big Darth Maul fan, mostly from the Clone Wars. Didn't do a whole lot that I gave a crap about in the Phantom Menace, but I don't think a lot of people care too much about Phantom Menace. Other than Duel of Fates, that was it. John Williams snapped on that. So anyway, bottom line, have been waiting to own a Boba Fett starship for forever, and I finally do. So we are definitely keeping this crew up in here. We're rolling 3 deep at all times. I'm not sure that I need a Fennec Shand, but I was thinking about it because honestly, she did frickin' great in Book of Boba Fett and the first couple seasons of Mandalorian, so this is going on the shelf, along with the Boba Fett helmet and the, frankly, too many Boba Fett figures that I have. And I'm perfectly satisfied with that. This was relatively expensive. Definitely beyond an increase that inflation would have seen. From the original release, it was $200 versus $149 of the one that I missed. And I'm not sure what year that actually came out. But I figured I would snap this up before they come out with another re-release. Because for some reason, every single one of these Boba Fett figures and whatnot just does not really depreciate in value. And surprisingly enough, even for being a relatively cheap figure, more than keeps up with inflation. So I guess I'm not a registered investment advisor, but if I advised you to put all of your money into Boba Fett Starship, you probably wouldn't anyway, and that's crazy. But you would still make a return on your investment and at least keep up with inflation. If that's your only reason for purchasing Star Wars toys, that is probably a more sound and reasonable decision than what mine are, which is, it looks pretty sweet. So, thanks everybody for watching. This has been the Doomcast. Enjoy Mandalorian Season 3, because I think I'm going to be reviewing it weekly with my buddy Damon Tucker. Mando Tucker. So stay tuned. Peace.